Get out, poor woman. You cannot afford a car.
I will come back, and you will regret for this.
Emily Parker stepped into Elite Motors Boston wearing a well-worn blue t-shirt, faded jeans, and scuffed sneakers, and she carried herself with calm assurance. At 36, Emily had devoted her life to running the Parker Foundation for Children with Special Needs, an organization she built from scratch, raising millions to provide therapies, equipment, and scholarships for families in need. Today, she sought only one thing: a Midnight Mule luxury coupe to surprise her sister Chloe on her 40th birthday. The showroom gleamed under halogen lights. Behind expanses of glass walls, rows of Ferraris, Bentleys, and Aston Martins awaited discerning hands. Each model was priced well north of $500,000. Sales staff in crisp suits hovered near polished exotics, scanning the entrance for interested buyers. Tyler Brooks, a junior salesman, noticed Emily immediately. He gave her an encouraging nod. "Morning, ma'am. Welcome to Elite Motors. I'm Tyler. Anything I can show you today?" Before Emily could reply, Sean Caldwell, the dealership's sharply dressed sales manager, appeared. He was tall, impeccably groomed, and wore an expression of thinly veiled superiority. Tyler stepped aside. Caldwell offered a curt smile. "I'll handle this." He turned to Emily, scrutinizing her from head to toe. "Is there something I can help you find?" Emily held his gaze steadily. "That Midnight Brew coupe on the platform." She pointed to a stunning $285,000 zero-cents model perched on an elevated stand. Caldwell's smile flickered. "Ah, that's one of our limited edition Azure GTs. Only 15 made this year." He paused, the slightest edge in his voice, usually reserved for clients with appointments. Emily's cheeks warmed, an odd sensation for a woman accustomed to far more daunting battles. "I'd like to see its interior," she said politely. Caldwell's eyes drifted toward her sneakers. "We require a private viewing for that model. You might—" Behind them, a designer-clad couple entered. At once, Caldwell's posture changed. He straightened his tie and guided them forward with practiced ease. "Mr. and Mrs. Harrington, delightful to see you again. Allow me to show you the Azure GT." Tyler Brooks stepped up beside Emily, offering a sympathetic smile. "I'm so sorry about that. If you'd like, I can give you a brochure or show you some other models." Emily managed a gracious nod. "Thank you, Tyler, but I really would like to learn more about the Azure GT." Caldwell, now addressing the Harringtons, replied, "Perhaps another time," before guiding the couple past Emily. She watched the door close behind them and took a measured breath. Watching from behind a service desk, Michael Harrison, the dealership owner, sensed tension. He approached Caldwell quietly. "Everything all right?" Caldwell shrugged, forcing a polite smile. Harrison looked toward Emily's retreating form. He frowned, exchanging a glance with Tyler. Emily left the showroom under the watchful eyes of curious onlookers. The glass doors snapped shut behind her. She paused in the morning light, took out her phone and called home. She needed a friendly voice. 50 acres beyond Boston's bustle sat the Parker estate. Its unassuming brick facade and tall oaks concealed the Petrodome, Ethan Parker's private office, and Emily's sanctuary. An hour later, the rumble of a custom Phantom Rolls-Royce announced her arrival. Ethan Parker rose from behind his walnut desk when she entered. He reached for her hand. "What happened, my love?" Emily sank into the leather chair by the window. "They laughed at me, Ethan. The sales manager at Elite Motors refused to show me the Azure GT because of how I was dressed." Her voice was measured but tinged with frustration. "Worse, he suggested I look at used cars instead." Ethan's expression hardened. He'd known Emily long enough to understand when her calm facade concealed something deeper. She recounted the entire encounter. Caldwell's smug dismissal, the Harringtons' privileged treatment, and Tyler Brooks's awkward apology. "I felt like a charity case," she concluded. Ethan sat beside her, fingertips brushing hers. "That wasn't right. But what do you want to do about it?" Emily let her gaze drift toward the wide lawn. "I want them to understand that respect isn't a matter of clothes or credentials. I could walk away, buy Chloe a car elsewhere, and I probably should, but there are thousands of people who can't afford that luxury. They face judgment daily. Tyler treated me with decency. Tyler deserves a chance. A slow smile touched Ethan's lips. I think I have an idea. Nothing overt, just a little lesson in perspective. Emily raised an eyebrow. Not buying the dealership? Ethan chuckled. No, something subtler. A private viewing for you, arranged through proper channels. Then we make sure Caldwell and the board understand that real value lies beneath appearances. Emily nodded thoughtfully. Okay, let's do it. That evening, they drafted a plan over coffee. Emily would send a formal appointment request under her foundation's banner, requesting a private Azure GT viewing for Chloe's birthday. Ethan would call in a favor with an industry contact, someone who could offer Elite Motors a lucrative fleet contract on the condition that they treat all customers with equal respect. Late into the night, they finalized every detail. Emily understood this wasn't about revenge, it was about raising awareness and sparking change. As she slipped into bed, she felt a resolve she hadn't known she needed. Tomorrow, Elite Motors Boston would learn that first impressions can be deceiving and that true worth resides in character, not couture. Early the next morning, Elite Motors Boston's service entrance opened discreetly to reveal a sleek matte deck sedan. Behind the wheel sat Tyler Brooks, who had been asked to arrive at dawn. In the back seat, Emily Parker reclined confidently, dressed in a tailored navy blazer over her familiar white tee and blue jeans. Her hair was again in a ponytail, but her poise was unmistakably different. She carried the quiet assurance of someone who knew her worth. Tyler parked beside the gleaming Azure GT and retrieved Emily's foundation credentials from his briefcase. He tapped the passcode into the dealership's electronic lock, granting them access to the showroom before the morning rush. As the door swished open, Emily took a steadying breath, her gaze sweeping across the polished exotica in solitary splendor. Moments later, the faint click of shoes on the marble floor announced the arrival of Sean Caldwell. He paused at the showroom entrance, taking in the scene, Tyler standing politely to one side, Emily in her poised posture, and no Harringtons in sight. Caldwell's eyes narrowed. "Miss Parker," he began, his tone practiced, but edged with surprise. "We received your appointment request on very short notice. I trust you found our confirmation satisfactory?" Emily smiled. Cordial, unwavering. "Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Your accommodations were perfect." She stepped forward, placing her foundation badge on the nearby console. Caldwell glanced at it, his expression flickering from surprise to awkward pride. Yes, the Parker Foundation. We're honored to host you today," he gestured to the Azure GT. "Please, this way." Their footsteps fell softly on the showroom carpet. Tyler, carrying Emily's sapphire blue gift box for Chloe, maintained a discreet distance. Emily's eyes did not waver from the midnight blue coupe as Caldwell unlocked the velvet rope draping its platform. The two approached the car's driver's side door. Caldwell produced a polished key fob and tapped it against the window, causing the interior lights to glow from within. As you know, this limited edition Azure GT is handcrafted with bespoke details, hand-stitched Neurotand leather, aerodynamic carbon ceramic brakes, and the newest V12 powertrain. May I? Emily nodded, and Caldwell opened the door with a flourish. She sank gracefully onto the quilted leather seat, closing the door and leaning back. "It's exquisite," she murmured, her eyes tracing the car's curves. Caldwell smiled, clearly pleased with himself. "Allow me to demonstrate a few features." He tapped the center console, cycling through ambient lighting settings that bathed the cabin in soft sapphire hues. Emily's lips curved knowingly. "The color matches my sister's home office walls." Caldwell blinked. "That's very precise of you." Emily slipped from the seat, extending a hand. "Would you mind?" Caldwell hesitated, then took her hand and helped her to her feet. She closed the door gently, then turned to face him fully. Before Caldwell could speak, the front doors of the showroom opened. Ethan Parker and dealership owner Michael Harrison entered. Ethan's presence filled the room with quiet authority. Harrison's expression blended regret with relief. Caldwell's practiced smile vanished entirely. "Good morning." Harrison's tone was firm but warm. "Mr. and Mrs. Parker, thank you for coming." Emily inclined her head. Ethan moved to stand beside her. "We appreciate your hospitality," he said. Harrison glanced at Caldwell. "Everything proceeding smoothly, Sean?" Caldwell swallowed. "Absolutely, Mr. Harrison. Miss Parker is satisfied with the Azure GT." Ethan nodded, then turned to Emily. "Shall we proceed, love?" Emily looked up at Harrison and Caldwell. "I believe we should discuss arrangements." Harrison led them to his private office, an elegant suite of rosewood and leather overlooking the showroom floor. Tyler remained by the sedan, ready to bring in the gift box once Emily was ready. Inside, Harrison seated them before his desk. "Mr. Parker, you mentioned a potential fleet acquisition," Harrison began. Ethan laid out his plan. New company vehicles for the Parker Foundation, a lineup of 7 environmentally efficient luxury cars, and a personal Azure GT gift for Chloe. He spoke with measured clarity, emphasizing the Foundation's commitment to sustainable transport and the partnership's win-win potential. Caldwell peered through the glass, worry lines creasing his forehead. Tyler stood at the ready, a silent witness to the unfolding agreement. Harrison reviewed the proposal. "This is generous and substantial." He paused, searching Caldwell's eyes. "However, before we finalize, there's a matter I must address." He tapped his pen on the desk. "Miss Parker was previously refused service here based on attire and perceived seriousness. That incident does not reflect our values." Caldwell shifted in his seat. Ethan met his gaze evenly. "Miss Parker accepted your apology yesterday," he said. "We all have room to learn." Caldwell swallowed. "Yes, sir." Harrison closed his notebook. "I would like to offer Miss Parker and her foundation a partnership. Elite Motors Boston will co-sponsor your annual benefit gala, and we will implement annual diversity and unconscious bias training for our staff, led by your foundation's recommended consultants." Emily's eyes glowed. "That would mean so much to the families we serve." Ethan extended his hand. "Mr. Harrison, you have a deal." Harrison shook it firmly. Caldwell perched on the office threshold. Ethan included him. "Sean, you will oversee the training program. Consider this an opportunity to grow professionally." Caldwell nodded quickly, relief mingled with resolve. "Thank you, Mr. Parker. I won't let you down." Emily rose. "Thank you all for your cooperation." She kissed Ethan's arm before departing the office. Harrison escorted her to the showroom entrance, where Tyler presented Chloe's gift box, an exquisite silver key fob engraved with her initials. Outside, the showroom doors slid open. Emily inhaled the crisp morning air, feeling renewed. Tyler leaned in to whisper, "They'll remember you and learn from this." Emily smiled, her eyes bright. "We all do better when we see everyone's true value." As they departed, the showroom lights glinted off the Azure GT, now poised for a proper new owner. Inside, Caldwell exhaled deeply, already drafting the training outline that would reshape Elite Motors Boston from the inside out. And so, the lesson that began with a dismissive glance and a scornful sneer ended with mutual respect and purposeful partnership. Proof that sometimes the most powerful drive begins not behind the wheel, but in hearts determined to change the road ahead. The glow of early morning filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Elite Motors Boston as Sean Caldwell flicked on the showroom lights. He paused at the door, recalling how only days before he'd sneered at casual dress and dismissed a capable buyer. Now, under the Parker Foundation partnership, every member of his sales team would attend unconscious bias training, beginning with him. At precisely 8 o'clock, men, the staff gathered in the dealer's lounge. Sean stood before them, clearing his throat. Behind him, a projector displayed the Parker Foundation logo and the meeting's title, Seeing Value Beyond Appearances. Tyler Brooks, the loyal dealership valet who'd first escorted Mrs. Parker inside, sat in the front row next to Daniel Nguyen, the young salesman whose courage had cost him nothing but earned him everything. "Good morning," Sean began, voice steady. "Thank you for joining our first training session. As many of you know, we've partnered with the Parker Foundation to learn how unconscious bias limits our success and harms our community. Today, we'll explore practical ways to ensure every customer feels respected and valued, no matter how they're dressed. A hush fell over the room. Sean clicked the remote. The screen displayed real-world testimonials. Mrs. Parker's own account of being judged by her attire, Mr. Collins' gracious intervention, and snapshots of dealership life before and after change. Let's start with a simple exercise, Sean continued. Pair up and share a time you assumed something about someone based solely on how they looked. Daniel exchanged a glance with Tyler as they rose to speak. Daniel spoke first, voice quivering slightly. I once dismissed a customer wearing paint-splattered overalls as uninterested in a premium SUV. Turns out he owned a chain of high-end boutique hotels. I apologized and sold him 2 vehicles. He offered an embarrassed smile. Tyler patted his shoulder. Next, Tyler described assuming a mother pushing a double stroller wouldn't want a test drive. She ended up leasing a performance coupe, he admitted, prompting knowing nods around the room. By 8:45 a.m., the atmosphere had shifted from apprehension to openness. The group discussed language cues, serious buyer, dress the part, and role-played greeting customers without judgment. Practicing neutral questions like, "What brings you in today?" rather than, "Are you qualified?" the participants felt the weight of their old habits lifting. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Emily Parker oversaw arrangements at the Foundation's headquarters. In 2 days, the Parker Foundation Benefit would host its first joint gala and car show, an unprecedented collaboration showcasing luxury vehicles and adaptive sports demos. Emily coordinated volunteers and final gala seating charts, all while ensuring that the dealership team received recognition for their newfound commitment to inclusion. By midday, Sean's team returned to the showroom refreshed and energized. Next on the agenda, breakfast with Daniel, whose oversized suit now fit properly and who beamed at the sight of new display boards reading, "Everyone welcome, no appointment necessary." Later that afternoon, the dealership's front doors swung open to reveal a convoy of adaptive sports athletes, wheelchair racers, prosthetic leg runners, and visually impaired archers, each escorted by Parker Foundation volunteers. Emily Parker led the procession, greeted with polite applause by curious shoppers. Behind them, 3 gleaming Azure GTs and a fleet of environmentally friendly Jaguars and Teslas awaited their timed test drives. Blake Thompson, recently assigned to Customer Relations Outreach, stepped forward to assist. His crisp navy polo bore the new slogan, "Value Beyond Labels." He knelt beside a wheelchair racer whose worn racing gloves contrasted with the car's pristine interior. "Would you like to sit up front?" he asked respectfully. The racer smiled. "Let's see what this baby can do." Blake's eyes widened. Here was a genuine thrill, not the contrived excitement of million-dollar shoppers. He guided the athlete to the driver's seat, ensuring the adaptive hand controls were adjusted. As the racer accelerated down the service lane, a cheer arose from staff and customers alike. Nearby, Daniel offered Emily Parker's blue gift box to Caroline Collins, Chloe's radiant younger sister. Caroline's eyes filled with tears when she realized the key fob's engraving. "This is extraordinary," she whispered. "I cherish it always." Daniel beamed, redeemed entirely of his earlier hesitation. That evening, the gala and car show glittered under crystal chandeliers in the hotel's grand ballroom. Rows of exotic vehicles lined one wing. Adaptive sports demonstrations took place on the other. A champagne fountain bubbled near the entrance, but the true warmth came from shared laughter and genuine connection. Emily Parker stepped to the podium for the evening's keynote. "Tonight, we celebrate more than luxury cars or charitable donations," she began. "We celebrate a community that dared to look beyond appearances and recognize inherent worth in every individual." She introduced Sean Caldwell, whose name drew appreciative applause. He acknowledged the dealership staff and personally thanked Daniel and Tyler for their bravery and open hearts. Next, Emily introduced Blake Thompson, now in a crisp charcoal suit. With palpable humility, he recounted the first day he dismissed Mrs. Parker at the showroom, his voice catching at the memory, and described how the foundation partnership transformed his understanding of service. As he spoke, Attendees glanced at the Adaptive Sports Pavilion, where former skeptics cheered racers crossing the finish line. The next morning, Elite Motors, Boston reopened with a new banner above the entrance, driven by respect. Inside, Sean Caldwell greeted every customer. No questions about attire, no preconceptions. Daniel and Tyler escorted a retiree couple in gardening clothes to a sunroof-equipped convertible. Blake coached new staff on the importance of neutrality and active listening. Outside, Emily Parker and Ethan Parker watched through the showroom windows, satisfaction shining. Their plan had worked, not through conquest, but through education and empathy. They embraced, knowing that true change required patience, humility, and the courage to look beyond first impressions. And as the showroom door closed behind a smiling family in work boots, the dealership's ground floor stood as proof. When value is measured by character and kindness rather than by labels and appearance, everyone, customer and company alike, drives away richer than before.